right, so hello everyone and welcome to my channel in this encounter with beautiful minds. It is always interesting. I love that and good to explore how people actually take decisions, how they make things happen, how they change their lives, and mostly how they're dealing with these unprecedented and yet powerful times. What tools or tricks they use, what inner representation they have of the world, and what are their values, hopes, and dreams, what works for them. And today my guest is Charles Dalpé. Welcome to the show, Charles.
Hi, Susanna.
Thank you for coming. But before we start the conversation, I want to tell you all a story. It's a very short story, and it happened in Canada about 22 years ago in a beautiful sunny day. Must have been like now, the end of spring, or a beautiful beginning of summer. And I still have such a clear memory of that moment. And I was in the bus station waiting for my transfer to go to work. It must have been towards noon or so. And as I was sitting there, suddenly, I noticed this handsome guy sitting on a bench, reading the same book I was reading at the time, The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. Many of you must have passed through that stage, I guess. And since the book mentions the fact that we are all connected all the time, and we are connecting all the time with everything and everybody, and that every person we meet has a message for us, for some reason that day I just went ahead and said hi to him. And I told him I was reading the same book and asked him what was his message for me. So as we talked in the bus, he was working for the same company at that time. So during the conversation, he mentioned another book to me, which I later found, bought and read, which was another life-changing book for me, The Peaceful Warrior by Daniel. So I haven't had the chance to know more of Charles after that. But to me, that memory stayed always fresh in mind, probably because of the peaceful and joyful energy and that luminosity of his eyes that he was emanating. And for me, he always remained the peaceful warrior. So once I moved away from Canada and we all connected on Facebook like everybody else, I was always informed a little bit about by his posts about what he was doing. And I could see this beautiful path he took and this work he set in place, full-time massage therapist since 2008, yoga teacher since 2009, and lately trained as a life coach. So Charles, you are my peaceful warrior.
Wow, that is such a compliment. I don't think I fit that role right now in my life, but I definitely want to embody that more and more as I grow older. And I've read that book 7 times at least since then, and I've purchased it and gave it as a gift. Love that book. So that's a nice compliment. You.
So since we're talking about being inspired by others, because you see, that's very interesting for me how certain moments remain with us. If you ask me now, what have I done and what I had for breakfast 4 days ago, I won't be able to tell you. Well, I might be able because I pretty much have the same thing every day. But what have I done at 11 o'clock 5 days ago, I won't be able to. However, that moment stayed so clear in my mind, and I have actually in memory the luminosity, the brightness of the day. So what would be for you, for instance, moments like that, or people that inspired you?
In 97, when I finished my college studies, I did photography training. When I finished that, I had lost my mom maybe 9 months prior to that. And I always felt like, I was joyful, life was good. In the past years with college life, the last 3 years were good because school was not always easy. So the social life was good. I felt happy. I felt that everything was possible. And then my mom passed away. And those few months really got me, more introspection, going into more introspection and reflection. And I got to a point where I was like, can I be happy on my own? Or can I just be happy if I'm through someone else's eyes? And the long reflection got me to go to Calgary. And basically I wanted to go out west and travel on my own a little bit. And I remember I landed in Calgary, and it was funny because when I went to buy the ticket, I didn't even know where I wanted to go. I told the agency. I said I needed to get out west, and she said, where do you want to land? I said, well, I don't mind. She said, well, you could go to Vancouver, to Edmonton, to Calgary. I said, well, I want to go to Banff, so maybe Calgary. She goes, oh, let's go to Calgary then, you know. And I landed in Calgary, and I walk out of the plane, and it's my first time taking a plane. And I walk out of the plane, and I'm in the airport, and I'm starting walking to, you know, go get my luggage. I grab my backpack, I put that on, and then I realize I have no destination. I have no plans. And suddenly everything becomes possible. And I started laughing out loud. I just laughed out loud in the airport, standing there on my own with my big backpack on my back. And I'm laughing. I'm looking around and I'm looking at people's eyes and I'm just laughing at them. And I feel free for the first time. I feel like the world is a playground and I could do anything and everything is possible. And then I saw the sign for downtown and I just took the bus for downtown and I met people who were going to the youth hostel and I got the last room at the youth hostel and started a beautiful journey with some new friends. So that moment of when I realized this is only about me for the first time in my life, I was, I don't know, 20. And everything that I was going to decide in the next minutes, in the next seconds, it was just for me. I was impacting only me. I could choose what only I wanted without considering someone else's need and whatever. And that freed me. And from that day, I understood something. And I really needed to take care of myself as well. So that's a moment that really, really resonates with me. And I can live it again anytime. And it's been 24 years now soon.
Wow, so that's powerful, that sense of freedom, and the world is a playground. I love that. So as you talk about that, do you feel that again now as you speak about it? So how does it feel? Can you describe how does it feel to be totally free and to feel that the world is a playground?
It feels exciting, and it feels like you can allow the energy that moves up to just circulate instead of having to repress and reflect, and, you know. So it's the outward movement, it's the expansion energy where you can just let it, you know, be free or express itself. Yeah. Faith also that tomorrow brings something better, because in that excitement, we don't worry about tomorrow. We expect it to be better.
Or we just know that it's going to be better.
Or we just know, yes.
So do you think that this is something one can reach just by will? Can we feed it? Can we make it grow? Can we make it ours?
I'm sure we can make it grow. I'm sure we can make it grow. And I would suggest that it has to do with being able to hear or to listen to that inner self. So I'm sure that any pranayama, like breathing or a meditation practice, can definitely bring someone to listen more to the inner world and then connect to that kind of energy. Yes, I'm sure that could be practiced. Yes.
So pranayama and yoga. And how else, if I wanted right now to listen to that inner voice, to that inner wisdom, what should I be doing?
I think I would say to start by remembering moments where we felt like this. And for some of us, it might be when we were really, really young. To really get into that sense, the same way you got me to refeel it and explain it, I think we can do that by remembering when we were young and we had that sense of the world is a playground and everything is possible. And you know how the mind is created in a way that we go back to that same path that we used to. So when we're an optimistic person, it's easier to go back in the optimism. So I think everything can be practiced, and we could practice to become optimistic. Like, what's the best version that could happen? What's the best outcome that could come? What's the best? What's the best? What's the best? And answer that question to the point where this question can become readily accessible. And then we start to not listen to the question that says, but what if it goes wrong, you know?
It's a matter of mastering the mind.
Oh yes, definitely it's the mind. It's the mind, because the mind is the one tricking us to not listen to the intuition or the burst of energy.
Since you're saying to listen to the intuition, how do we listen? Like, what's the voice of intuition?
I don't know if we all hear the same voice. Sometimes if I give the exercise to someone on how to listen to their intuition, I'll say, ask yourself, how do you feel if you visualize taking a certain action in the future? How do you feel if you visualize not taking that action? And there's a certain inner feeling that comes with it. So when you sent me a note and you said, Charles, I'm doing a channel, would you like to do an interview? My immediate emotion was upward. Like the energy was, I was smiling. I was like, oh, I'll get to talk with Susanna. I'll know what she's up to and connect with that person. And she chose me. Wow. And all that energy. And then, oh, now I'm starting to feel nervous. Oh, I'll be interviewed. I'll have to talk about myself. Oh, but the first reaction was good. So the answer to that is yes. Even if my fear comes up after, and then the mental start, telling its story, and what if I'm not interesting enough or whatever. But the initial spark was yes. So I had to follow the yes. I had to say yes. So that's my intuition. The initial spark, like how I feel. I want to trust that.
So intuition, it's a feeling and it's a yes, and it's an uplifting energy. It's something that is pleasurable and it's positive, right?
When it's a yes.
When it's a yes.
You could have an intuition of not doing something.
Okay.
Where you'll feel like, someone would give you the invitation and you'll be like, do I want that? When I feel myself going out, I'm like, well, no, there's no calling. Or I can reflect upon it and choose differently. But I mean, there's no real, and sometimes you'll really feel the no, like everything inside you goes no.
So that's wonderful. All right. So how would you advise people, for instance, to get to listen to that? As a yoga teacher, you've been practicing yoga. What type of yoga have you practiced, by the way?
I was trained in Hatha yoga mostly, but I've experienced and practiced many types of yoga. And after a yoga class, often we get in a space where there's something slower with the mental noise. And then something that's quieted a little bit. And we get access to hearing our inner truth a little bit more. Often when we talk about learning meditation, we talk about silencing the mind. And I find that can be sometimes a bit of a trap, because if I tell you don't think of a white horse, don't think of a white car, don't think of a lady dressed in white, the only thing you can do is go and have that image of the white that I'm saying don't think about, right? So if I say observe your mind and quiet it, everything you hear is your thoughts. Everything you focus on is that inner dialogue. So I say don't try to listen to the silence, but don't listen to the noise. An image that I love, I'll take a second, is if you take water and you put dirt in it and you stir it, you'll get dirty water. And if you stir it regularly, it'll remain dirty water for as long as you stir it. So you'll get dirty water and you'll drink dirty water. But if I let it sit there for a full day, the dirt will slowly come down to the bottom. And eventually I'll be able to drink all that pure water and not get bothered by the dirt. So meditation is exactly that. When we stop participating in the mental conversation and we allow to just observe the thought go through and we let them dissolve, eventually silence comes, and then we get access to the real voice. The sound that comes from us instead of the sound that comes from everything we've read, we've heard, we were told, and we've agreed as beliefs and as expectations of lives, etc.
So how are you using that in your daily life?
I say in the last 12 years, it was a blessing for me to have walked the path of becoming a massage therapist and a yoga teacher, because it's allowed me moments where I was forced to slow down the mind and to allow the mental noise to be reduced. And it was even a greater privilege, it was on the mic, so it was a greater privilege to not having been influenced by so much noise that we get to be exposed to in more of a daily activity being, out in a business, or when I used to work for Bell, for example, a big telecommunication company, where you're, running after money and wanting to make more profit for your boss. The mental noise is not the same and is not as natural.
So are you enjoying your own company then?
I really feel privileged at this point in time in my life that this is happening. And it's really, really awkward for me to say this out loud, because most people are not going through a good time, or are not finding it as, nourishing but I also have that practice of the last 12 years of being a lot in silence and a lot in introspection. I have the tools and I feel comfortable in that zone. And without sharing all of that, I've also done the work where I went to see therapists to feel better. So I went to a coach. I went to a therapist, and that allowed me to release the frustrations, the anger, the whatever, right? So this time, right now, it's beautiful.
So it pays off, right, to work on ourselves. It pays off eventually.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
I mean, there's times when you keep doing and you feel like nothing changes. You feel like you stay the same. You feel that some patterns persist, and you think, oh, this is never going to end. But then one day you just wake up. It feels good, and especially these times, what I've noticed as well, I'm also enjoying these times, and you can probably notice that.
Definitely.
But it's during these times that I actually realized how important was everything that I did, because actually it doesn't bother me. I can cope with this type of change. So the mind is trained to take everything as is, and just to take it one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time, sometimes just 1 second at a time, and just be there and breathe and be in tune with life. So what would you tell someone who is not there, who hasn't done that work, hasn't practiced meditation that much, and feels worried about what's happening, concerned, and about what's going to happen in the future? What would you tell them? What would be the first thing for them to do to start feeling a little bit better, according to what you know and what you've learned so far?
I think the first thing I would say is that it's normal to feel that way, and that I feel that way too. Moments in the day where you're like, oh, where is everything going, and what should I be doing to change things, and am I okay with the way things are being handled? And of course those questions arises. My go-to scenario is often parent-child kind of conversation. So the inner child says, I'm not okay with being at home all the time, and I'm not okay being stuck here, and I'm not okay not seeing my friends, and I'm not okay blah blah blah. Then the adult can say, I agree, I'm mad too. Let's just be pissed off together. Or the adult can say, I understand. It doesn't feel good. It's not what we would want. It's not what we would do right now if we could choose. So I think that's what we don't do with ourselves. We tell ourselves, feel better. Be okay with this. Do what you got to do. But we don't start by saying, I understand how you feel.
Why do you think it's important to acknowledge that and to allow that emotion to be there?
We all need to be understood on our own. If we can do that to ourselves, I think it's reconnecting the mental, the adult, the doer, and the emotional, let's call him the inner child, and the beer. The part that's the being, the part that is us, is our essence. So what we've learned how to exist in this society, but who we are as a core, what makes us tick, right? Because there's how I feel and what I'm told, right? And you want to exist with everyone else, and everyone else shows like they're okay with it. So we're all putting up a show, and we're putting up the show because the other one puts up the show. So we're all putting up a show like we're okay with this, but all of us are feeling like there's something a bit awkward with this. I think I didn't answer your question.
Absolutely, you have, and wonderfully.
Okay, cool.
Wonderfully, with lots of wisdom. And I totally follow what you're saying.
Thank you.
But my next question for you would be, how do I avoid the trap of feeling sorry for myself? Like the distinction between giving yourself that hug, it's okay you feel this way, and it's okay you feel sad and anxious now and worried, and not starting to feel sorry for myself. Look at me, I'm a victim, and because it could easily slip into that. So you, the yogi in you, and you as a yoga teacher practicing yoga for so many years, what have you learned in regards to that?
The first thing that came to mind with your question was momentum. The longer we are in a momentum, the harder it is to move out of it. So if a big boulder is sitting there and it's round and it could roll, but it's not rolling, then it's very heavy. It's not going to roll. And if you start pushing, it'll roll slowly, and eventually it'll start to roll, and then it's hard to stop. So if today is the worst day for me and I'm feeling sad, and then you call, I'll be like, of course I'm answering. It's Susanna. She'll help me feel better. I know that, right? And maybe I'll start by saying, I don't want to take too much of you today because I don't feel really well, but if you can give me a little, I'll take it. And then with that, I can move into the next momentum. So can I take a little extra minute on this one?
Absolutely. It's your show. It's your time.
I don't know where I picked that up one day, but it really resonated and stayed with me. So I was watching something, and they said that when we are born, the baby in the first minutes, it's like they absorb the understanding of what's going on the planet, and then they know in which emotion they're starting the journey. And a few months or a few years later, I stumbled upon an article that talks about when a cell is born in our body, it's born in accordance with the emotion that we feel. So there's many cells that are dying and being replaced and born just since we started that conversation. Those cells that are born in my body, they're excited and they're a bit overheated because I'm nervous and then I'm hot, and but they're born in excitement, and they're born in that sense of expansion. And there's cells tonight there will get born when I'm watching TV and I'm feeling a bit twisted about the plot, maybe. And there's cells that are born when, you know, you're on your bike and you're just enjoying life and whatever. The sum of all of these cells contribute to how it's easy to feel in this body. So since I often feel joyful, it's easy to me to go back to joyfulness because my cells know joyful and they have little captors to come and connect with the joyful hormones. For people that are sad a lot, it's the opposite. So in their body, those cells have a lot of little doors to capture the hormones that makes them sad. And they have a lot of sad cells per se in their body. So by practicing moments of feeling better, so I'll meditate for 10 minutes or 3 minutes, and I'll at least feel calm. I'll listen to something different before I go to bed because I understand now that I should watch something that makes me feel a certain way in order to enhance a certain feeling in my body. So watching comedies for many days might bring me to enhance my laughability vibration inside. So I think that could be a way to help yourself promote a new way of feeling. We need to practice it. We need to make certain cells get born with that new frequency. So some people can bring us into laughter a lot easily, some movies, some situation, and sometimes going back in our memory is a powerful tool. Because if you can experience being loved for 10 minutes, just reminding yourself of a beautiful love story, or being in your mom's arm, or then you're feeling that for real, and everything in your body feels that for real right now, and it's enhancing that feeling for tomorrow, and so on and so forth.
And it becomes a reality.
And it becomes a reality.
So if I understand correctly from what you're saying, being happy or being in tune with something more positive, something more beautiful inside ourselves, it's a choice?
I've always said it's a choice, but I've always found that word, it's a choice for me. It's a choice for me because I can easily choose it and change it. It's a choice for me because I have access to it. I can totally understand that it's not a choice for certain people right now that easily. Having said that, you can watch whatever you want on TV, that's a choice. You can listen to whatever you want for music, that's a choice. You can choose who you invest time with for conversation, that's a choice. And all of these little choices bring you to the greater part of who you're wanting to become. So even if you can't choose today to just feel happy, you can choose today to help yourself walk in the happy direction. You can choose to watch something that's happier, read something that triggers happier, reflect upon some stuff to get healed, so you can release some of the old stuff, etc. So,
well, that's precisely why I chose to speak with you, you see. So Charles, what do you trust beyond all doubt?
I've often said that what I believe today can change tomorrow. So I'd like to start with that, because whatever my answer will be, it could change. I believe that the more we explore our inner world and our inner mind, and the more we explore our beliefs and challenge them, then we can change our opinions on certain things that we were really black or white about. I believe that we have to choose if we live in a friendly or a hostile universe. I believe that's a choice. But I also understand that for some people, the examples that were shown to them brought them to believe they live in a hostile universe. And I've had the privilege to have enough examples that brought me to believe that I live in a very friendly universe. But since I believe that I live in a friendly universe, I believe that tomorrow will be good to me. I believe that whatever is happening right now, at any time, however it feels, is exactly where I need to be and what I need to be feeling.
So one more question I'd like to ask you is, why do you think you're here on this planet, in this body, in this world now?
Oh, wow. That's interesting how I felt when you asked that question.
How did you feel?
I felt like I would answer that very easily to you, but I felt that I needed to censor it a little bit for whoever's going to be watching this. It's interesting, huh? Because to you, I don't have that same filter, but for some people,
But that's exactly the purpose, to be able to share these things and to realize it's normal to talk about these things. That's why I started this channel, actually, so that people talk about what's happening inside, not on that, as you said, that coat that we're putting on and we're all happy, we all have to achieve and to have success. It's about what really happens in a human's mind, in a human's heart. And there are many things that people appreciate as being weird or as being like paranormal or psychic, and actually could be very well traits of just being a human. And this insight, actually, if you dare to share, could actually help someone else realize that, hey, perhaps I thought the same thing. Perhaps I had these thoughts before. So I think it's important to share, not censor your answer, but it's totally up to you.
Thank you for that wisdom. Thank you. I'll try to filter as less as possible. I'll try to offer you the most honest answer to that. I'll rephrase. I will not try. I will offer you the most honest answer to that.
Thank you.
I don't know if I pretend to know why I'm here. But I definitely feel that I have an ease to help people understand themselves better. I've came to understand that I have a sense of empathy that's greater than the majority of people. And to a point where I sometimes understand people better than they understand themselves very quickly. And I was that way very young. I know I help people connect with their inner truth. To feel better and stronger about themselves is a gift that I have that I can share with people. And a few years ago, I did some training to enhance the intuition. And when I walked out of that workshop after 3 weekends, I said, I feel like my superpower is to help people identify their truth. It's like everything inside me knows if you're lying to me or if you're not giving me your truth. Thus, I can help you connect to your truth. So if I have a role or a purpose, I help people find their truth. I challenge us, society, to become better at expressing our truth. And that was a hard exercise to express my truth. And that's why I rephrased it, because we trap ourselves when we say, I'll try. We're telling our mind, take the easiest path. But when we say, I'll do, then we're telling ourselves, do it. So that's why I rephrased it and I said, I'll share my truth.
And you just did. Thank you.
Oh, definitely.
Imagine that you're right at the end, you're ready to leave, and you look back. This will give you the greatest satisfaction knowing that you help people connect to their truth.
Yes. Yes, because when we find our inner truth and we can only speak the truth, imagine that world tomorrow if every leader that helps us take a decision and make a decision are always connected to truth. If every news channel is sharing the truth, imagine in a matter of months what could change and transform on this planet. And imagine, now I'm getting excited. I was just going to say, so many people feel anxious because they hear something being said, but they know something different. And then they're like, I feel anxious. I feel depressed. Because they know something, but their heads is being taught something else so much. So that sense of truth for me is that it's finding that voice where you express what's real all the time. If we were to build a world with that, imagine.
Wow, you said that and I got a yes answer, yes signal from my body as well as you were speaking. So I can recognize that as being the truth. So one last thing, can you do with us, with me, of course now, and with everybody watching this recording later, a little meditation or something like
yes,
an exercise to bring us closer to the truth or bring us closer to that intuition? I'm following. I'm your humble follower.
It will be a pleasure, and I'll guide you into one quick exercise, and then we'll do a little meditation visualization. So my first little exercise, I've been using this since I met Rob in Alberta in 1997. And he gave me that exercise, and I've used it so many times. So whenever you need to come back to feeling better, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, this is the perfect place. As you exhale, tell yourself, this is the perfect moment. Open your eyes and smile. Whenever I do this, it brings me back to my neutral. It brings me back to my center. It reminds me that I have power over my own inner world, over my own nervous system. So just that big inhale, telling myself and reminding myself this is a perfect place and this is the perfect moment. And then I exhale and I smile. Now for a little visualization. I have that fantasy since I'm a child that I would love one day to hold hands with the rest of the planet. If everyone on Earth for 1 minute would hold hand, I am sure that solidarity would bring peace on Earth. So let's visualize it since we can't touch each other right now. So let's just all sit comfortably or stand or lie down and take 2 or 3 breaths where you're trying to make your exhale a tad longer than your inhale. And that will send a signal in your body that you are safe and comfortable. Just observe the movement of the body as you're breathing in and out and focus on that and let the mind just be. Whatever thought comes, it's okay, let them be. And now let's just imagine we could all go out on the street in front of our house and everyone would do the same at the same time. And we would just hold hands. And some of us would have the sun shining on our face, and some of us would have the sun on our shoulders. Some of us would feel the wind in our hair, and we'd know we'd all be connected. And the more we'd hold hands, the more we feel like more hands are being held, and the more we start knowing and feeling and understanding that we're all connected everywhere on that planet, all holding hands. And at that moment, there would be millions of people with tears in their eyes. And at that moment, there would be people that have never really stopped. At that moment, there would be people that would never have felt connection. And at that moment, there would be many, many, many people healing. So feel that sense of healing. Feel that sense of we're one. Feel that sense of we're connected. Connected to an old lady somewhere. Connected to a young child somewhere else. Connected in our reality. Connected in our values. Connected in our beliefs. Connected in our differences. Imagine if we could all take a deep breath in together to tell ourselves that this is the perfect place and the perfect moment, and just exhale in ease and smile. Feel that sense of a smile across your chest and that sense of a smile across your belly, and let that radiate. And allow your lips to slowly, just a little bit smile. And just so we still feel connected at the end of this, as we start to release the hands that we imaginally took, bring both of these hands onto your heart, one over the other, and feel like the rest of the earth is giving you a hug. And everyone else is getting one from everyone else's. Take a deep breath in. Slowly open your eyes. Exhale and smile.
That was so beautiful, and I really felt all these sensations in the body, and especially the need for real hugs from real people and connecting again, and this possibility we all have to connect. This is beautiful, Charles. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. So basically it's about allowing yourself to feel what's happening, connecting to your inner wisdom, connecting to your truth, following what your heart is asking you to do. That's right. What would be your motto?
Tomorrow will be better. That's always been there.
Tomorrow will be better.
Tomorrow will be better. I mean, there's been moments in my life where I could have crumbled and cried and think, why am I going through this? But something always was there making me feel like this will not last and tomorrow will be better. I live in a world where I also can choose a part of what tomorrow will be. It's not all of my choosing, but a part of it is my choosing. And I choose tomorrow will be better.
I choose that tomorrow will be better.
Yes. Sometimes with that, you got to do the work. You know, what do I need if tomorrow is going to be better? I need to exercise. What do I need? I need to eat well. I need to be connected. I need to be loved. Tomorrow will be better. I just want to say, congratulations for what you're doing. Thank you for doing your work. It was a pleasure spending that time with you today.
Same here, Charles. Thank you.